Alright guys, we're on part 2 of the rusting phase. And basically what I've done is I've got all our holes in, okay? And what I'm going to show you to do is you're basically going to clean up the edges, get all the burrs off of it. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, using our Dremel tool. And get most of the big stuff off with the Dremel tool. Alright. And you want to do this inside and out. So you want to get back in here and clean up any burrs that are on the back side of this fender wall. In here. And all up in here. And then all around the wheel well. Right up in there. Now what I do is once that's all pretty much cleared off and I get all the gunk out of there and that and whatnot and all the burrs and the melted spot from the actual Dremel tool. Let me get a little more in here. I turn around and I take some sandpaper. You know, it really doesn't matter what it should matter. You should use light grit and anything you sand with these. But with being a ruster, it doesn't really matter because it's going to have scratches and nicks in it anyways. So I'm just basically using whatever I had left over laying around or out of the boxes. So I'm just sanding it down and around. And all I do is I take a little bit of soapy water and I sand it down to get any kind of dust or anything like that free from it. And then I wipe it off with a paper towel. And that's the finished product that I get. Okay. Now, what I do is I take apple orange, or apple barrel orange and apple barrel brown. I take 50% of apple barrel brown and 50% of apple barrel orange. And these are acrylic paints. I mix them together so it creates this rust color almost in a sense. And what I do is I just take a big brush, I dip it in some water, this kind of a brush here. Works really well for this, if I can get it in there. Okay, let's set these paints here. And I take the brush, take a little bit on my brush here with it being wet, and I just put it on. Smear it on real good, get it up in them holes as much as you can, because that's where it's going to be. If you need to take a little more thicker and do it up in there, that's fine. And just kind of do it in a brush stroke motion. Try to keep it together. Okay. And the same thing back here. Okay. And then when you flip it over, you're going to do inside the holes as well. Because what good is doing it? You need to make sure it's created where it's coming from as well. Not that anybody will really see it, but it helps out because if you miss and you see some of the white in there, it's gonna show. Okay. And then I usually let it dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, get a good drying on it, and this is what I come out with. All right, so this is part 2. I take 25% orange. Now this is pending on how big the project is. Those are 2 quarter panels, and you can see I still have enough paint left over. I'd probably use it on a chassis or something like that, you know. Let me do a quick another demo. And so I used 50% orange and 25. So it's usually a 30% different ratio. So 50 and 20 is a pretty good mixture. 20% orange, 20 to 25% orange, and 50% brown. And that gives it that rusty, like nasty looking water rust color that I get in there, and it gets on the car as you can see here, and that's what I get, you know. And you want to make sure, once again, you want to make sure that you get not only on the outer part of the car, but let's see if we can get it in the light there, on the inner as well, because you don't want no white showing. And I usually let it dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, so I will be back and we'll go from there on to stage 3. Thank you.